Okay, so if you're confused on question 11, this is where you should be. So you're taking notes, following along with me, doing what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Don't just watch me do or work through this problem and then try to solve it. We should be doing this together. So for 11, it says functions f of x and g of x are given. Which statement about f of x and g of x is true? This is 100% a Desmos problem. So open up your calculator here and then type in these equations exactly how they are, the functions exactly how they are. Pause the video until you have this done and then start it again. Okay, so I can see that I've got a red line and a blue line. F of x is red and g of x is blue. So I have a few options here. It's saying that f of x is greater than g of x for all values. So that means I want f of x, my red line, to be on top of g of x for all values. Let me zoom in here. It looks like this red line seems to be on top of the blue line, but then when we get to a certain point here, the red line goes underneath the blue line. And then it goes back on top of the blue line at this point here. So if I zoom out, red line is always on top of the blue line until it reaches this little dip. And then once it hits the point 2, 4, the red line is always on top of the blue line, which we can see. We want the red line to be on top of the blue line because that means it's greater than. But that's not true for A. F of x is not greater than g of x for all values because we have a little bit where we have a dip. B says that g of x is greater than f of x, so we obviously know that that's not true because g of x is lower than f of x. So my blue line is underneath my red line for most of these functions. The next question says f of x is greater than g of x for all values of x where x is greater than 2. So I'm just going to plug that in. X is greater than 2. And if I look in the shaded region, it does look like my red line is on top of my blue line. So my f of x is greater than g of x, where x is greater than 2. Now, option D says that g of x is greater than f of x, which again, we know isn't true. So the only option that makes sense is C, f of x is greater than g of x for all values of x where x is greater than 2. The big takeaways from this was plugging in, the big takeaway is plugging in these two functions, okay? Helping us see what our functions look like can help us answer this question. And it's always a great idea to plug any functions into Desmos.